Sometimes I wonder, has dating gotten easier or have we accidentally made love so much harder? We live in a world where meeting someone has never been easier. With just a few taps on a screen, we can connect with people from different cities, different countries, and even different continents. We have dating apps, social media, video calls, instant messages. Never before in history have we had so many opportunities to meet someone, and yet never before have I heard so many people say they feel so lonely. How can we be more connected than ever, yet somehow feel more disconnected from one another? Lately, I've been thinking about this, not because I have the answer. And this channel isn't about me telling you how to live your life. I don't think anybody has all the answers, and this is simply a place where we can slow down together, ask better questions, and perhaps understand ourselves a little bit deeper. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Chelsea, and this is only the third video on this newly revamped channel. And some of you may remember that this used to be my little travel vlog, and in some ways, it still is. And you still see everyday moments of me getting ready, walking, socializing, eating, shopping, and the little things that often go unnoticed. Because life from the outside usually looks very normal, but inside, our minds are rarely quiet. We're constantly thinking, questioning, remembering, wondering. And today, I want to talk about love, or perhaps what has happened to it. Sometimes I wonder if we've mistaken convenience for connection. Technology has made almost everything easier. We can order food without speaking to anyone, work from anywhere in the world, shop without leaving our homes. Everything is just faster. Everything is more convenient. And naturally, well, we're gonna bring some of that convenience into dating. Why wouldn't we, right? But love has always seemed to belong to slower things. This is where it clashes. Because love takes trust, and trust takes time, and respect takes time, and understanding another human being takes time. Maybe love was never supposed to happen at the speed that we've become accustomed to. And dating apps are fascinating, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I know people have met the love of their lives through them. There are many beautiful success stories, marriages, families, real happiness, but there are also stories of being ghosted, being led on, being catfished or scammed, being love bombed, breadcrumbing, being used for sex, and people are being treated as though they were simply another profile to scroll past. The apps themselves aren't the problem because they're just tools. A tool can build a home or tear one down. Depends on how we use it. What fascinates me isn't the technology, it's what the technology reveals about us. Sometimes I wonder if we've become addicted to possibility. Imagine walking into a small cafe and there are only a handful of people inside. Meeting someone there may feel exciting. And you probably wonder, I wonder who they are and what their story is. I wonder if we might get along. But now we're opening an app where hundreds of people appear one after another. Something subtle begins to happen. Instead of wondering, could this person be right for me? We begin wondering, but what if someone even better is just one more swipe away? One more profile, one more conversation, one more possibility. Psychologists often talk about something called the paradox of choice. The idea that while having choices is generally a good thing, having too many can actually make us less satisfied with the decisions we make, and it confuses us too. When there are endless possibilities, choosing becomes surprisingly difficult because every decision always means letting go of every other possibility. Perhaps that's one of the quiet challenges of modern dating. Not that we have too few options, but that we have so many, we struggle to fully invest in one. I also wonder if without realizing it, we've started treating people a little like products. Think about the last time you shopped online. You probably compared reviews, the prices, zoom in on the pictures, and read what other people had to say. You want to make sure you are making the best possible choice, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we're buying a phone or a pair of shoes, it makes perfect sense. However, people aren't products. And yet, sometimes I wonder if we've unconsciously brought that same mindset into relationships. And suddenly, we're wondering if someone better is waiting just around the corner. Without even noticing it, we stop asking, can we build something meaningful together? And start asking, can I find someone with fewer imperfections? But what if that person doesn't exist? What if we've been searching for perfect people instead of real ones? After all, every single one of us is someone's imperfect person. Maybe love was never about finding someone who has no flaws. Maybe it's always about finding someone whose flaws we can understand and whose humanity reminds us of our own. Sometimes I think one of the greatest ironies of our time is this. We've become incredibly good at connecting, but not necessarily at being close. We message each other throughout the day, we react to stories, we send pictures, videos, memes. We know what someone had for lunch before we know what keeps them awake at night. We're surrounded by communication, but are we surrounded by intimacy? Those two things aren't always the same. Perhaps intimacy isn't measured by how often we talk. Perhaps it's measured by how safe we feel telling someone the truth about who we are. And maybe that's where things become frightening. Maybe that's why love feels so frightening. Not because we're afraid of loving someone, but because we're afraid of what love asks of us. To love someone is to let them see us, not just the polished version we post online, not just a version that's confident, successful, funny, or attractive, but the parts we usually hide, our fears, our insecurities, the mistakes we're still trying to forgive ourselves for, the childhood wounds we rarely talk about. To truly love someone is to slowly hand them the map to your heart. And there are no guarantees that they're gonna stay. Maybe that's why vulnerability feels so uncomfortable. It's one of the few things in life that asks us to be brave without promising a happy ending. Sometimes I wonder if we've become so focused on protecting our hearts that we've forgotten how to open them. We're constantly told to be careful, don't trust too easily, don't get attached, know your worth, walk away at the first red flag. And while I believe healthy boundaries are incredibly important, I also wonder if somewhere along the way we've become so afraid of being hurt that we've accidentally become afraid of loving at all. Because love has always involved risk. It always has. Long before dating apps, smartphones, social media, to love another human being has always meant accepting that one day they could hurt you and that they could leave and life could separate you. Nothing about love has ever come with guarantee, and maybe that's what makes it so precious. And we often confuse excitement with love. Think back to the beginning of almost every relationship. You can't stop thinking about them. Every message makes you smile. Every notification makes your heart race. And you replay conversations in your head. You imagine your future together. It feels magical. But perhaps what we're feeling isn't love. At least, not yet. Psychologists tell us that in those early stages of attraction, our brains are flooded with chemicals like dopamine. Everything feels exciting because everything is new. It's why we call it the honeymoon phase. But here's the interesting part. Those feelings don't last forever, and they're not supposed to. The butterflies in your stomach is going to eventually settle. The excitement is going to tone down. The excitement is going to become quieter. The mystery will slowly disappear. And for some people, that's when they leave because they think they've fallen out of love. But maybe love doesn't end when the butterflies disappear. Maybe that's when love finally has the chance to begin. Because real love isn't sustained by novelty, it's sustained by choice. Choosing patience, kindness, forgiveness, choosing to listen when you're tired, choosing to stay curious about someone you've known for years, just basically choosing each other over and over again. Perhaps love isn't something we fall into. Perhaps it's something we build slowly, patiently, one day at a time. Sometimes I wonder if social media has quietly changed what we expect love to look like. Every day we see engagement pictures, holidays, surprises, perfectly edited couple videos, beautiful moments shared with the world. But we're only seeing the highlights. We don't see the difficult conversations, the misunderstandings, the compromises, the tears, the quiet act of forgiveness. The normal Tuesday evenings where nothing exciting is happening except two people choosing to be there for each other. Real love spends far more time in ordinary moments than extraordinary ones. Maybe that's why I enjoy filming ordinary moments for this channel. Because life isn't made up entirely of milestones. Most of our lives happen in the in-between. The grocery runs, the cups of coffee, the walks, the sunsets, the quiet drive home after a long day. Perhaps love grows there too. Not in grand gestures, but in consistency. And there's another question I've been asking myself lately. If the person you've always dreamed of suddenly walked into your life tomorrow, would you actually be ready? Not financially, not physically, emotionally. Would you know how to communicate honestly? Would you know how to trust? Would you know how to apologize when you're wrong? Would you know how to stay present during uncomfortable conversations? Would you know how to love someone whose imperfections don't match your expectations? Sometimes we spend years searching for the right person while forgetting to become the right partner. And maybe that's the work none of us can avoid. What has happened to love? I don't think love itself has changed. I think we have. Our world moves faster. Our attention is constantly divided. We have endless choices, endless distractions, comparisons, but the human heart, I don't think it's changed very much at all. It still longs to be understood, to be accepted, to feel safe, to belong. Perhaps that's what every one of us is looking for. Not perfection, not endless excitement, not someone who never disappoints us, just someone with whom we can fully be ourselves. I also wonder if the greatest tragedy of modern dating isn't that we've become harder to love. Maybe we've simply become harder to trust, harder to open up, harder to stay. We've become very good at protecting ourselves. But every wall we build to keep heartbreak out also makes it harder for love to find its way in. Love was never meant to feel like fireworks forever. I don't think so. Maybe it was always meant to feel like coming home, just feeling warm, safe, peaceful, familiar. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you've found someone who is willing to face life's imperfections with you. And of course, I don't know if any of this is the answer. These are simply thoughts that have been marinating in my head, thoughts that I just wanted to share with you guys. And maybe you agree with them, maybe you won't, and that's completely okay. My hope isn't that you leave this video thinking exactly as I do, but asking yourself questions you may never have asked before. Because sometimes the questions we dare to ask ourselves are the ones that quietly change our lives. If conversations like this resonate with you, I'd love for you to be a part of this little community. This is still a very new chapter for this channel, and I'm so grateful that you're here so early. And if you like more reflections on love, life, relationships, psychology, and all the quiet thoughts that shape who we are, I hope you consider subscribing. I upload at least once a week. Until then, thank you for spending a little part of your day with me. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and don't stop asking questions, because sometimes the most meaningful answers begin with a quiet moment of wondering. Love you.